Wasabi guys, Void here, coming back at you with another video. This time I'm going to do something that I haven't really done yet. Mainly, I want to help people out because I always get comments, I always get people who are curious. Either they're going to be asking me or other people. They're going to be asking me, why should I play Commander? What are the benefits to it? Is there anything that's preferable about it compared to other formats? And I'm here today to tell you guys there is a ton of reasons why you should play Commander if you do not already. If you're on the fence, this video is exactly for you. I try to give the best advice I possibly can in the majority of my videos, whether it's my top 10s or other videos that I'm doing. So let's get on to this video here. The first reason that I have for why you should play Commander is the fact that it's a Singleton format. This is completely different from just about every other format you've probably played before. Standard, Modern, Legacy, Vintage, they're all based around playing multiple cards for consistency purposes. If you have a really good card and it's something that you depend on every single game, it's most likely going to be a 4 of in those decks. In Commander, the only cards that you can play multiples of are basic lands or cards like Relentless Rats or Shadowborn Apostle, cards that get around that rule. The reason why this is a big reason to play Commander is that you don't necessarily have to worry about spending money to get play sets of these cards, but you also have what is arguably a more diverse experience. You get a more fun experience because of the fact that this is a Singleton format, which leads us into the next reason, the unique deck building experience. You have the starting point, which is your Commander, that's one. Your deck is the 99, and that is most likely going to be a combination of however many basic lands you want, and the rest are just one-ofs. So you have your one-ofs, which are usually going to be things that you want to make consistent. The only consistency that you have here is that you try to build around a certain strategy. So let's say you have a blue deck. Well, there's one counter spell that you play. There's other options for counter spells. So you don't just have to play like one copy of a counter spell. You get to have cards like Pact of Negation, Force of Will. There's multiple different cards that do relatively the same thing. And that's kind of what I'm trying to stress here, is that it makes for a better deck building experience compared to a lot of these 60 card formats where you can just throw in a 4 of and suddenly it makes the rest of the deck so much easier to build around. Another benefit here is that there are no rotations, not like Standard, so you don't have to worry about something just phasing out because of the new set releasing or anything like that. It's not like Standard where there's like a 2-year rotation, so you don't have to worry about that at all. Which leads us to the next thing here, which is there is a very limited ban list impact in this format. They usually only ban around 1 card, maybe 2 cards a year. Around the same time, they also unban cards too, so it's not like you're going to be completely screwed if you lose 1 card to the ban list. Usually cards that hit the ban list are very deserving of it, and they're usually oppressive, or they are part of a win condition that makes the game very boring, or it takes away the interaction to the game altogether. There's cards like Prophet of Krufix or Leovold, Emissary of Trust, that are very similar for why they're banned. They allow the player who controls them to do a whole lot of magic, but they also prevent your opponents from doing a lot of things too. Next thing we have here is the fact that there are products specifically made for this format. We just received the latest edition of the Commander decks here in 2017. 4 decks that are all tribal based. These are all specific products made for this format. You don't have this with other formats. And you could say, oh well, each set that releases, that's for Standard. You're not wrong, but it's not specifically made just for Standard. You also have the limited environment that it's made for. You also have people that are in Eternal formats, such as Commander, that are looking at those sets and picking cards out that they want. So no, sets like Hour of Devastation are not specifically made for Standard players, not like Commander decks that are specifically made for this format, which is another thing. Because there are products specifically made for this format, you don't have to spend a lot of money to enter this format. The MSRP for these products are usually $35. It does depend on where you get them. Some people price gouge. And you have a deck that is capable of playing in a 4-player multiplayer game of Commander. It's not meant to be super competitive, but it allows you to either learn the format or learn the game while having a deck that is capable of competing. While we're on the topic of competing, here's another thing. There are very few net decks in this format that you have to deal with. Now, I'm sure you're going to find some people that copy and paste deck lists either from Tapped Out or other sites and basically just card for card get every single card. But like I said before, this is a Singleton format, 99 card decks, including the Commander 100. So you have a ton of cards to go and find and piece together. And usually people want this to be a deck building experience that they're going to remember, that they want to make their own deck unique to themselves. It's not something that people are going to be doing frequently. The only exception might be if you're in a very competitive play group, or if your locals is extremely competitive naturally. People are just copy and pasting the most powerful deck list, usually something like a stacks deck, or some sort of super combo deck that is capable of going off within the first few turns. Other than that though, you really don't have to worry about any sort of net decking in this format. Standard, completely different story. Which is also included in this next reason why you should play Commander. There is such a wide range of player skills. Altogether, you have people that buy precons, and they play the format that way. And I know people who have literally taken every single card, sleeved it out of that precon, sat down at our table to play with us, and they were just content with learning the game that way. And now they're pretty good Magic players altogether because of that. And you also have the people who are competitive, which usually you can find your own play groups that are going to be more understanding, more willing to play with you if you are also a competitive player. So the format has a lot of room and flexibility. You have a lot of combo decks, and you have a lot of decks that are more tailored to the new player skill level, which then brings me to this next reason. There is no pressure in terms of the competitive play. This is completely different from Dual Commander. I don't want this to be confused. This is mainly going to be multiplayer Commander because I feel it's honestly best for new players to the format. And if you're a new player, you're most likely not going to get hated out of the game first. You're most likely going to be left alone. And this also factors into the whole cost to enter thing as well, because a lot of cards would be super expensive if Commander was this Pro Tour level format. If you had all these professional players playing 4-player games at the next Pro Tour, it would skyrocket every single price of the competitive cards. Like cards like Doubling Season would go up, cards like Sol Ring would go up. It would be a nightmare just to reprint a lot of these cards because the professional scene, it would make them more expensive. It would increase the demand because people want to play like the pros, and you don't have this pressure in the format. That's what's so great about it, is that it is casual. The only exception here would be yet again Dual Commander, where Wizards of the Coast is pushing it, but it is more or less just based around Magic Online, so you don't have to worry about it as much in paper form. Which then leads me to this next reason, the final reason why you should play Commander if you are still on the fence right now. It is the fact that this format is inclusive to everybody, regardless of whether or not you're a veteran in the game and you've played Legacy for a long time, or you played Vintage for a long time, or you're just starting out to the game. The wonderful thing about this format is that I've had people that told me in the past they entered into this game through Commander. They never played Standard, they never played 60 card casual, they never done anything like that. They entered the game through Commander, and I think that's just wonderful. I think it's fantastic that people can say that their first experience with Magic was, honestly, in my opinion, its best format. So if you are new to this game, if you are new to it in any aspect, whether it's just this format or the entire game itself, feel free to leave questions in my comment section. I will definitely try my best to answer any and all. Let me know what you think about Commander. Let me know what you think. I definitely think it's going to be a long-term format. I think people love it so much. I love going to local game stores where they have Commander tournaments. I love going, just playing casual Commander with my friends, sitting at a round table, getting 4 more decks that are hyper competitive or super competitive, and just having a blast. It is so much fun. It is really the best multiplayer experience that Magic the Gathering has to offer. So anyway guys, I hope this video was helpful to you. I definitely hope by making this, I encourage more and more people to enter in this format. I definitely think it's healthy for the game that we are inclusive and we're welcoming to everyone who wants to play this game, regardless of their age, who they are, what they look like, their skill level, their experience with other card games, whatever it is. As long as the game is growing, it will survive, and as long as the game's surviving, we're still able to have a good time. So anyway guys, have a wonderful day. Void here, signing off.